I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. But I want to call this segment Tucker Carlson Swings at Pete Booty Booty. Pete Buttigieg is what he says that his name is. And the reason why I want to do this is because, you know, a night or so ago, 2 nights ago, Lawrence O'Donnell was saying in his broadcast that Tucker Carlson gets paid to lie, that Fox News pays Tucker Carlson to lie, and not just Tucker Carlson lie, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Jeanine Pirro, Rupert Murdoch. They're all are liars, and they're lying to their audience about, you know, what happened with the election and et cetera, and following that Sidney Powell lying lawyer. And so I said, well, you know, if Lawrence O'Donnell, Lawrence is from Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts, South Boston is one of the gangster areas where Whitey Bulger comes from. So I'm thinking to myself that Tucker Carlson is not going to let this boy from up there in Boston, Massachusetts, call him a liar to his face. And so I figured, well, you know, once he gets word of what's going on, he's going to attack Lawrence O'Donnell like he stole something from Mother Teresa. And Lawrence O'Donnell's Catholic, by the way. So yesterday, you know, nothing happened. It was the day after the big accusation of being a liar. Tucker Carlson was called a liar. Tucker Carlson said nothing. He actually was talking about Don Lemon. So I said, all right, he needs to do sort of regroup himself. And so today, rather than Tucker Carlson going after Boston, Massachusetts, Lawrence O'Donnell, he goes after Pete Booty Booty. He calls him Pothole Pete. I call him Pete Booty Booty. But first of all, let me just set the stage by letting you hear what Lawrence O'Donnell said about Tucker Carlson. I mean, this is fighting words. Lawrence O'Donnell, I mean, the other night, he was like he had been drinking a whole lot of scotch, you know, and came on the broadcast drunk, calling Tucker Carlson and everybody over there at Fox News liars, and didn't bat an eyebrow. Hey, I'll let you listen to it. You think I'll let you? And then so that's what he said about Pete Booty Booty. All right, Mr. Engineer, go ahead and let it run.
Tucker Carlson lies for a living. That is what he is paid to do by the right-wing Australian-American billionaire Rupert Murdoch. Tucker Carlson's standard method, like Donald Trump, is to attack anyone who criticizes him, but he might not attack us for our coverage tonight because Tucker Carlson and Fox don't want their audience to know that this story exists.
Now, I wonder if that's the case. So I'm going to cover today I watched Tucker Carlson last night, a second night, to see if he was going to attack Lawrence O'Donnell for calling him a liar, a paid liar. And instead, I'm going to let you see what he said about Pete Booty Booty. But, you know, is it true? I'm going to give him one more night. I'm going to watch tonight again. Give him one more night before I decide whether it's true or not, that really Tucker Carlson, Rupert Murdoch, and all that crowd don't really want to let their audience know that Lawrence O'Donnell called him a liar, and it's stuck. But anyway, I tell you what, let's have some fun, however, today. Because what I did enjoy about Tucker Carlson, because the guy's funny, we was talking about Pete Booty Booty. Y'all call him Pete Buttigieg. Tucker Carlson calls him Pothole Pete. With respect to what the train explosion happened 3 weeks ago now out there in East Palestine, Ohio. So, Mr. Engineer, roll the clip. Let's just sit back and watch Tucker Carlson. I don't know if he's avoiding Lawrence O'Donnell, you know, but it was a good report on Pete Booty Booty. Let's go ahead, Mr. Engineer.
But in the fall of 2021, not so long ago, America's supply chains came close to snapping. Remember this? More than 100 cargo ships were floating idly off the coast of LA and Long Beach. Those are the two biggest ports on the West Coast. Those ships were filled with consumer goods bound for stores and consumers across the country, but they couldn't offload them. There was no place to do it. The containers just sat there. And in any case, thanks to the Biden administration's vaccine mandates, there weren't enough truckers to pick up the cargo and take it anywhere. So all of that combined to create the worst shipping bottleneck in memory, and it lasted for months. The price of transporting goods to this country rose by 600%. So if you're wondering why inflation started to go up, that's a big part of the reason. Now, none of this happened by accident. The bottleneck was a man-made disaster, and it could have been, should have been, fixed by the people in charge of transportation, They're called the Department of Transportation. But for much of the time this disaster was unfolding, Joe Biden's Secretary of Transportation, that would be Pete Buttigieg of South Bend, Indiana, was completely disengaged. He wasn't on the job. He was at home. He was on paid paternity leave.
I'm still trying to figure out. Here are two men, right, with an adopted baby. They just got married. I think I don't know who's the wife. I have no idea. In case you didn't pay very much attention to Tucker in the very beginning, what he is saying, while this bottleneck was going on with shipping out in Los Angeles, Pete Booty had taken a 2-month leave of absence of personal time, to welcome his new baby. But neither one of them gave birth to the baby. I don't know, if you don't, I suppose if you get a new baby, you do have to nurse it and wash it and bathe it and feed it and all that. I guess they don't breastfeed it. But this is really stupid looking to me. I guess there are people who say, well, this is just normality. Not two men, got a baby. And Pete says, well, I need 2 months time off from being the Secretary of Transportation. Let all the ships back up. Let the price of shipping go up 600%. Let inflation take off. But I'm going to take time with my wife, Chastity, and we're going to nurture our baby. Anyway, go ahead. Roll the rest of it, Ms. Engineer.
Posing for selfies for social media. Now, Buttigieg didn't seem embarrassed at all.
Booty. His name is
by
Booty.
this. This is work, he said, though in fact he had played no role whatsoever in giving birth to a child. Quote, it may be time away from a professional role, but it's very much time on. And actually it was time on television. Pete Buttigieg used his time to appear on various shows, including The View on ABC, where he spoke at length about his favorite subject, which is himself.
Not Pete Buttigieg, it's Pete
not
Booty.
the container disaster.
Say that, Tucker.
Me. Meanwhile, the ships stacked up outside the ports and inflation went up. So that should conclusively have been the end of Pete Buttigieg's career as transportation secretary. Back to McKinsey for you. Whatever you think of his personal journey of self-discovery, there was an emergency in progress and Buttigieg ignored it. If anything is grounds for firing somebody, it's that. But the Biden administration did not fire Pete Buttigieg. They did the opposite. They praised him for breaking some important but not very well-defined glass ceiling of some sort that you're supposed to be excited about. They rewarded his dereliction of duty. So because people do respond to incentives, Pete Buttigieg kept doing it. He kept proudly ignoring his job. Weeks after a train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, causing an actual environmental disaster throughout the whole region, Pete Buttigieg, as of tonight, has still not visited East Palestine. Why? What has he been doing? Well, as he explained to a Daily Caller reporter last night, he's taking more personal time.
What do you have to say to the folks in Ohio, East Palestine, who are suffering right now?
Well, I'd refer you to about a dozen interviews I've given today, and if you'd like to arrange a conversation, make sure to reach out to our press office, but I'm not going to have that conversation with you. Just walk
You don't
down the
have a
street
message
here.
for them?
I do, and I shared it with the press many times today. I'd refer you to those comments.
Would you mind sharing it with us?
No, I'm going to refer you to the comments that I made to the press because right now I'm taking some personal time and I'm walking down the street.
Are you going down there?
What's that?
Are you going down there at all?
Yep, I am.
When are you going?
I'll share that when I'm ready.
Okay,
not talking on the
thank you.
street. Can I get a photo of you?
I'm taking some personal time. Not just a robot, but a nasty one. Could I get a photo of you? And then he did. Now you wonder what Pete Buttigieg is going to do with that photo.
Booty, I say.
Makes you shiver a little bit if you think too much about it, so we're going to stop. Meanwhile, outside Mayor Pete's nifty little cocoon of bistros and Instagram selfies, life goes on in America, and in many places it is getting tougher. Not that he cares, even a little bit. Here's the mayor of East Palestine on February 16th, nearly 2 weeks after the derailment, explaining that he'd heard nothing from Pete Buttigieg. Watch. That was last week. He still didn't go. This week, people in East Palestine are coughing up blood. We know that because we talked to a couple of them last night. But still, Pete Buttigieg has not shown up. Donald Trump has.
Just in case I hope that frame is good. That's Pete Booty and his, husband or wife Chastity on a swing while Rome is burning. I take my hat off for Tucker Carlson. This is a really good interview, even though he didn't slap Lawrence O'Donnell. Maybe he'll do it tonight. Go ahead, Mr. Engineer.
The way he went today, he's not able to fix the problem. It's not like he's the Secretary of Transportation. But Trump did bring pallets of bottled water and then bought the entire fire department dinner at McDonald's. Whatever you think of Trump, at least he cared enough to go there. That's something. In fact, it's enough to make you wonder how someone who clearly doesn't care at all, not even a little bit, who doesn't even care enough to pretend he cares, wound up with one of the most important jobs in the Biden cabinet, a job with actual responsibilities. How did he do that? Well, we know what the answer is. No, Pete Buttigieg doesn't know anything about transportation. We would bet money he can't drive a stick shift.
I get you.
On the other hand, Pete Buttigieg is gay.
Too.
He plays the piano and he speaks Norwegian. Let's hire him. Watch.
There he was yesterday, front and center, now third in the polls with a speech that many have said are historic.
He's inspirational so far, and that's something that voters absolutely want.
He has this appeal for a lot of reasons. He is a veteran. He is openly gay. He is from Indiana.
You are a concert pianist. Yeah. You speak many languages, including Norwegian, that you learned because you wanted to read a book.
The second coming of Obama, huh? We'll see about that. My prayers may have been answered if that's true.
The draw to this point has been young, fresh, positive, and a change agent.
This guy is chicken soup for my soul.
So you sort of long to see Pete Buttigieg fired from his job. Something personal. Aren't many people who hate Pete Buttigieg. What Pete Buttigieg is actually like, or how well his Norwegian actually is irrelevant. You long to see him fired because you long to see someone at some point held accountable for disasters. When the Biden administration pulled out of Afghanistan and armed the Taliban with one of the largest militaries in the entire region, no one was punished. The only person in the U.S. military that we're aware of who was punished for that debacle was the guy who complained about it. That's it. No one was ever punished for COVID. When it turns out the vaccines didn't do what they thought what they told us they were going to do. When the lockdowns hurt more people than they helped. When Fauci was caught lying about virtually everything. Not one person was punished.
All right, okay, I'll listen.
So it would be encouraging to see someone punished for this debacle, for the 1,000 train derailments we have every year, as Pete Buttigieg blithely informed us the other day. But Pete Buttigieg has not been fired, and he likely won't be. Why is that? Well, we're thinking it's because he's on board with the core idea of the Biden administration, and that is equity. And equity means we're going to make decisions based on how you look. And Pete Buttigieg is all in on that. Watch him explain that actually all lives don't matter.
2015, you said that all lives matter when you spoke about two police controversies that were happening in South Bend. Was that a mistake?
What I did not understand at that time was that phrase, just early into mid, especially 2015, was coming to be viewed as a sort of counter slogan to Black Lives Matter. And so this statement that seems very anodyne and something that's kind of nobody could be against actually wound up being used to devalue what the Black Lives Matter movement was telling us. Since learning about how that phrase was being used to push back on that activism, I've stopped using it in that context.
Hold on, Mr. Hold it. Okay, what he is saying is that he said earlier, 2015, that all lives matter, which is true. I mean, it's right. It's righteous. It's true. All lives matter. Then here comes Black Lives Matter. They emerge pretty much under the George Floyd event, right? And they become very popular. And they now want to single out that only Black lives matter. So what Pete Booty says, I said that was a mistake. I want to take that back because it pushes against the fact that Black lives matter, so all lives don't matter anymore. That is the dumbest, most stupid thing that, but this is what we're dealing with. Anyway, go ahead. We got a few more minutes of tolerating this. After that, I'm not going to be able to take much more of this. But roll the rest of it, Mr. Engineer.
Imagine apologizing for saying all lives matter. No, they actually don't all matter. says the head of the Department of Transportation. And you can see now that he means it. A train derails on his watch in a town full of high school educated Trump voters who nobody cares about and have been left behind, and they are further ignored. But that's not environmental racism. No, it's equity.
All right, so that's enough of that. Here, my concern is that, all right, I mean, I thought that was a pretty good piece Tucker did there, and he's got some really good research people, and I guess his speech was written by somebody who's reading it on a teleprompter, but it was a good piece. I thought, oh, did you? I just kept trying to tell him to say Pete Booty rather than Pete Buttigieg, but, okay, all right, he may not go down that road, but I thought it was a good segment. My problem is, however, is when they're going to do a segment on Lawrence O'Donnell. I mean, Tucker, listen, man, Lawrence O'Donnell called you a liar to your face, homie, and said you get paid to lie. It's one thing to be a liar, you lie, but to say you get paid to, and then he said you lie to your audience and you don't want them to know you're lying to your audience. That's how come you ain't go strike back. You let this man from up there in Boston, Massachusetts, call you a liar, homie, and Tucker, you got to stand up, You can't do that, man. You can't just let that slide, because people are watching. So, I don't know, I'll watch him again tonight and see if he's going to do something about it tonight. But I think that could be detrimental if somebody calls you a liar like that and you can call him a liar and talk about his mama or something. I don't know. I wouldn't let her call me a liar and get away with it like that. And anyway, everybody, you're watching the Manning Report. I'm Manning, the quintessential American.